Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Um, uh, this is the beauty of the virtual world. I can say good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, and even good night. We are in different time zones, but we are all together for the defense of the thesis of candidate Rodas Yemane this this Michael. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, Rodas. Rodas' thesis title is Identification of Factors Affecting Honey Export Performance Across the Value Chain in Addis Ababa, a hierarchical analysis. The principal supervisor for this MBA thesis is Dr. Rex Holiday and myself, Hanan Awad, as co-supervisor. This is today's agenda. We will start with introductions and housekeeping, roughly for 10 minutes. Then a presentation by the candidate for exactly 16 minutes. A question and answer session for 50 minutes, allowing the committee members to ask questions directly to the candidate, and taking also questions from the other attendees. Please write your questions in the chat box, and we will see if we have enough time to answer these questions. Then the committee will meet without a candidate for committee deliberation, and we will go into feedback and conclusion, and then the announcement of results and adjournment. So for housekeeping purposes, please adhere to allocated time slots, respect everyone's time. Only committee members this time, the moderator and the candidate, are allowed to speak and use their mic. Other attendees, please mute your microphones when not speaking. And as I said, only the committee members, the moderator, and the candidate are allowed to speak. Spectators or other attendees, use the chat box to ask questions. Please keep the questions concise so we can take as many questions as we can if we have the time. And my job here is to manage the session as smoothly as possible. So please be courteous to all participants and follow instructions. This is a very important disclaimer, recording and sharing disclaimer. Please be advised that this defense session is being recorded. The recording will be shared on the university's official YouTube channel, other social media platforms, and of course, the university website for educational and promotional purposes. By participating in this session, you consent to be recorded and understand that your participation may be publicly accessible. If you have any concerns about recording or sharing this session, please remove yourself from the session now. Your participation in this session signifies your acknowledgement and acceptance of this recording and sharing. Disclaimer. So thank you so much for your cooperation and understanding. I'm not sure if all committee members are here. I wanted to start on time. I can see that Dr. Kim Mitcham is with us. Dr. Margot also is with us. And we have Dr. Shakira Hanna also with us. So we can start. Please, Dr. Kim, if you would like to introduce yourself to everyone.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
It is an honor to be able to participate in this culmination of a learner's journey. This is a tremendous gift. Thank you for inviting me.
And we are honored for having you here.
You can see, who I am professionally. Personally, I foster kittens for the local humane society, and I get a great deal of joy from watching them play and get ready to go to their forever homes. Um, I have 5 cats, a dog, and a son, and they're all adopted, including my son. And life is good, and this is just another blessing on top of a good life. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And on the professional level, we thank you so much for sharing with us your long experience in adult learning. I'm sure that we will all benefit from your experience, and our candidate today, of course, will take lots of notes from you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's move to Dr. Alu. Or am I saying your name right? I try not to butcher your name. So Dr. Mercy, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you.
Nice
So how
you.
do you pronounce your first name?
Okay, it's Mercy
Okay.
Alu.
Alu. Okay. Thank you so much. Would you please introduce yourself?
Yes. So I am, of course, a professor in the field of healthcare, business administration. I've done a lot of business consulting, and I've been in academia now for about 10 years. I have taught both on campus at universities here in the United States, and I've also taught in West Africa. I do teach online as well. My areas are, of course, of research. I have a lot of interest in the international environment. And so it's quite interesting to see this paper, encompassing the Ethiopian environment. I was in Ethiopia last year briefly.
Oh, good.
So that, that's quite interesting to me to go over this paper. So I also have a background in human resource management. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And to your point about the international arena, I believe our model here in Windsor University, that we are open to everyone from everywhere, and the interactive classes that we have, allow us. Personally speaking, I have learned a lot about different countries, different businesses, different industries. So that's really, really interesting. Thank you so much. Looking forward to your inputs.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Alan Gatland, if we are missing someone, we can come back when they join. Some people contacted me today saying that they have some connectivity issues. And this is the beauty of the virtual world. We have to be adaptable and flexible. So Dr. Alan has not joined us yet. Dr. Margot, our early bird.
Good morning. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. Please introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Margot Kimberg. My field of expertise is education. I've been in that field for 35 years. And I'm excited to be here today because this is the crowning moment of a young woman's hard work for years. And I want everyone to know how much I admire the tenacity that it takes to get her dissertation done.
Yes.
What people also don't know about me is that I write crime fiction.
I know that.
You do, yes. But yeah, that's also what I do. I've loved crime fiction for years and been writing it for a long time. So reading any kind of writing is an honor for me. And I'm excited to learn more about, or I have been excited to learn more about how honey is produced and made. I found that fascinating, but we'll get to that when we get to the actual defense. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So we will expect having some honey in your next novel.
You never know.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are honored to have you here today. Dr. Kamal Gulati, I'm not sure if he has joined us or not yet. We are in different time zones. We try to accommodate everyone, but it's sometimes so difficult. No, Dr. Kamal has not joined us yet. So these are our review committee. Thank you so much for being here. Now we will move to the candidate presentation. In her presentation, Rodas will give us, of course, she will introduce herself first, then she will give us overview of her thesis, her research objectives, the methodology that she used, the key findings and conclusions, and the recommendations. Rodas, I know that you have some connectivity issues with your internet, and we have a plan B if we face this issue. She recorded a presentation, and she made it perfectly for the allocated time, but I will allow her to introduce herself first, and if she can present live, this would be great. If not, I will play the recorded presentation. So Rodas, would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, Professor.
Hello, yes.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, members of the thesis committee, any faculty and colleagues. Well, my name is Rodas Yemane. I've been taking MBA for the past 2 years at Windsor University. I am an analyst at the Ethiopian Agricultural Transformation Institute, which is under the Ministry of Agriculture of Ethiopia. I've worked there for around 1 year and 7 months. Well, it is with great pleasure that I stand before you today to present my master's thesis, which is entitled, as Dr. mentioned, The Identification of Factors Affecting Honey Export Performance Across the Value Chain in Addis Ababa. It is a hierarchical analysis. So, before I delve into the specifics of my research, I would like to thank everyone who has supported me, starting with Dr. Hanan Awad. I am very thankful for her guidance and her eye-opening experience and her mentorship. Next, I would like to thank the members of the thesis committee for your time today. And last but not least, I would like to thank my family and friends.
Thank you so much. So would you like me to play the recorded presentation?
Yes, Professor, because I'm not sure, it might be, the internet might disconnect in the middle, so it's better to present the audio that I have.
Yeah, and I also would like to highlight that Rodas the time at her end is very, very late at night. So I will share her presentation, and hopefully everything will be just fine.
So maybe skip a little bit because the introduction part as well I've recorded. So yeah.
Okay, we will see.
Good morning, esteemed members of the Thesis Committee, faculty, colleagues, and guests.
So the voice is okay. Can everyone hear the presentation? You
I can.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
My name is Rodas Yemane, and it is with great pleasure that I stand before you today to present my master's thesis, which is entitled Identification of Factors Affecting Honey Export Performance Across the Value Chain in Addis Ababa. It is a hierarchical analysis. Before delving into the specifics of my research, I would like to thank everyone who has supported me throughout this journey. To my thesis advisor, Dr. Hanan Awad, thank you for your guidance and unwavering support. Your mentorship has been an eye-opening experience. I would like to thank the members of the Thesis Committee for their time today. And last but not least, I would like to thank my family and friends. Without further ado, let's begin. This presentation is divided into 5 main sections. The first section is introduction section, which includes background, problem statement, objectives, and scope of the research. The second section, which is the literature review, includes the identified research gaps and identified factors affecting honey export. The third section is the methodology, which includes research design, sampling technique, data collection method, and data analysis method. And the fourth is the findings, which shows the results of the research. And finally, the recommendation section will be presented. Ethiopia's honey exports remain at only 37 metric tons in 2022, despite various benefits of honey. Ethiopia's current honey production is 53,000, which is moderate when compared to China, which has around 462 metric tons annually. However, given the diverse biological and climatic conditions of the country, it is expected to reach 500,000 tons. Honey has several benefits, as I've mentioned, and at different levels. For example, at the international, country, company, and household levels. When we see it at the international level, it has a crucial role in international trade and fosters cultural exchange. And when we see it at the country level, it is an essential source of income and has great export potential. At the company level, it is used as a source of raw material. And finally, at the household level, because it requires minimum investment, it can be implemented in impoverished communities with lack of land. However, even though it has such several benefits, and given that there is an increase in demand in the global market, the Ethiopian honey export hasn't been able to grow. When we say increased demand in global markets, for example, from 2009 up to 2016, it increased from 400,000 to 600,000 tons, which corresponds to an estimated value of $2.2 billion. In line with the low export, there's critical lack of comprehensive research on the factors affecting honey export across the value chain. The problem statement of this research is the Ethiopian honey export industry faces a critical lack of research or study done on the factors affecting the performance along the value chain. To address this, the study aims to identify, structure, prioritize, and explore interrelationships among key factors affecting honey export. So when we go to the objectives, this research has 5 objectives. The main objective is to identify, structure, prioritize, and explore interrelationships affecting the performance of honey across the value chain in Addis Ababa. When we go to the 5 objectives, the first objective is to identify, analyze, and prioritize factors that impact exports in Addis Ababa. The second is to prioritize the value chain stages that are critical to the performance of honey export. The third is to prioritize key factors that affect the performance of honey export across the value chain. And the fourth is to assess the impact of each identified critical factors on honey export performance. And the fifth is to identify the root cause factors which influence other factors. So when we go to the scope of this research, the major in-scope items include a comprehensive analysis of honey exports with a focus on identifying their hierarchical structure and prioritizing them in terms of their significance. And when we go to the target participants, natural honey exporters, producers, and experts in Addis Ababa are included. And the geographical focus of this research is Addis Ababa, which is the capital city of Ethiopia. Next is the literature review section of this presentation. After thoroughly analyzing various literature sources, 5 gaps were identified. The first one is geographical coverage. Existing studies in Ethiopia have only focused on regional cities, and no research has been done in the city of Addis Ababa. Second is factor identification and prioritization. There is a gap in identifying and prioritizing factors across the value chain. As a result, it is very crucial to understand how these factors affect each value chain stage. Third is value chain stage prioritization. None of the research conducted have addressed the prioritization of value chain stages. And the fourth is methodology gap. The methodologies used in the existing research lacks to consider the hierarchical structure of the honey value chain. And the fifth is interrelationships gaps. The existing research don't identify the interrelationships among the identified factors. It is very crucial to know how the factors affect each other in order to address the root cause of the problem. In line with the identified gaps, 6 value chain stages and 29 factors were identified. The 6 value chain stages include input, production, processing, market, consumption, and other cross-cutting factors. So the identified 29 factors will be discussed in detail later on. The next section of this presentation is the methodology. Both qualitative and quantitative methods were utilized, and the research design is as follows. Literature review and pilot study were utilized to have the final list of factors. Then, factors were modeled into hierarchy. After that, pairwise comparison metrics was constructed. Then, expert opinion were obtained. After obtaining expert opinion, consistency was examined. Here, if the consistency rate was below some certain number, weights are computed. If not, the result is modified and additional expert input is obtained. After the weights of each factor are identified, factors are again analyzed using the ISM model to identify the factors influencing or the interrelationships the factors have on each other. Finally, the result is presented. In line with the method used, purposive sampling was used to collect the primary data due to its relevance in achieving appropriateness. Purposive sampling is a non-probabilistic sampling strategy in which the researcher's judgment is used to choose the samples. Appropriateness and adequacy requirements should be considered to increase the quality of the research. As I've mentioned, purposive sampling is the frequently method used for meeting appropriateness, meaning establishing a connection between the research goal and the phenomenon being studied. The most popular way of achieving the appropriateness criterion is the use of a predetermined criteria. So when we go to the target population includes value chain actors in Addis Ababa. This includes input suppliers, exporters, quality assurers, among others. And 70 exporters were identified, and producers in the outskirts of the city, as well as government officials, were identified as well. When we go to the sample size, taking the minimum requirement for purposive sampling, which was recommended by different scholars, is 30% of the population. And as a predetermined criterion, all actors must be active participants of the value chain. Therefore, Out of the 70 exporters, 10 were active and all were selected. And for the rest, all experts and other stakeholders were selected. When we go to the data collection method, pilot study and questionnaires were utilized. As highlighted earlier on the research design, first literature review was conducted and a total of 45 factors were identified. Then it was narrowed down to 31 by omitting those that were mentioned below 3 times. After the literature review, pilot study was conducted with 3 experts to further narrow down to 29 factors. Then value chain stages were created and questionnaire was prepared. The main tool utilized was questionnaire, as it was very beneficial in meeting the goal while giving experts some flexibility in responding. Additionally, face-to-face interviews were utilized based on convenient circumstances. 2 types of analysis methods were used. The first one is the analytical hierarchy process, and the second is the interpretive structural modeling. I will thoroughly describe what each analysis tools are and the steps that is passed to achieve a final result. Let's start with the AHP, or the analytical hierarchy process. It is a multi-criteria decision-making approach. It is used to rank factors based on their importance, and it does not result in the exact measure of factors, but it shows us their proportion with each other. The steps include, first, criteria are broken down into stages and factors, and then experts compare each criteria in a pairwise and then rate them as equal importance, moderate importance, strong importance, among others. So they rate them by using numbers. So they rate them as 1, 3, 5, and 7 and 9. So these are the numbers they use. Then, based on the results obtained from the experts, a square matrix is formed. After that, weights are computed to the stages and factors. So finally, the consistency is checked, and it has to be below 0.1. But if it's above that, then it has to be re-evaluated. Next is the interpretive structural modeling. This method also uses experts' experience and judgment. It is used when individual relationships are clear, but group relationships are very complex. The steps include, first, factors are identified, then they're compared in a pairwise comparison using experts' opinion. This means experts put as 1 if one factor influences the other, and 0 is put if it doesn't. After that, a reachability matrix is conducted. This means, let's say if factor A leads to factor B and factor B leads to factor C, then factor A leads to factor C. So this reachability matrix is constructed. And finally, a multi-level structural model is conducted and graph is constructed. So now we are at the findings section of this presentation. As you can see from the chevrons and the table in front of you, the weights of the 6 value chain stages and the local weights of each factors are identified. As a result, market stage of the value chain ranks the highest. And when we say the local weights, it means the weights each factors have under their specific value chain stage. Then the global weights of each factor is identified, which means the weights of each factor when compared to the total list of factors and not only based on their value chain stages. So as you can see from the table, you can see the highlighted factors. And these factors are 16, and they constitute a combined importance of 75% of the total, out of the total 29 factors. The 16 factors are selected for further analysis using ISM. And as you can see from the image, access to credit is the most influential factor, which is affecting all of the above factors. Then the factors on level 6 are the next factors that influence the rest of the factors. And it goes on like that until the top is reached, where the quality of produced honey is found. So this factor does not impact other factors, but is impacted by all the factors under it. Finally, based on both the outputs from the AHP and ISM analysis, 3 factors were prioritized. 1 is access to honey refinery and processing. 2 is illegal trading. The 3rd is high local consumption. All 3 factors were prioritized as second in their influence on other factors, while the first one is third on its importance, and the second is fifth, and the last one is second on their importance. Last but not least is the recommendation section. So this research recommends 7 main points, but due to time limitation, I'll only go through the first one. But as the board has the document, then I'm sure they have gone through every recommendation in detail. So just to go on a high level, the 7 points are: 1 is the value chain optimization, and the second is critical factor addressing. The third is root cause analysis. The fourth is awareness and promotion. The fifth is streamline supply chain. Sixth is access to credit, and seventh is research collaboration. So when we go through the first section, which is the value chain optimization, it has 2 subsections. First one is prioritizing value chain stages, and the second is quality assurance. So prioritizing value chain stages, this research recommends that resources have to be allocated strategically and by giving priority to the highest ranked factors. And when we go to the quality assurance, this paper further recommends quality to be assured at every stage of the value chain. Additionally, international standards have to be met. I would like to thank the thesis committee and the guests for your time. I hope you have been able to understand the research paper and have captured the necessary information required. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rodas, for the presentation. I have a copy of Rodas' presentation here. I can use it when we are in the question session. So please let me know if you require me to share her presentation. So right now we finished the candidate presentation, and we will move to the question and answer session. In this session, the review committee can ask the candidate questions. I have allocated roughly 10 minutes per committee member, but because some committee members did not join us, so other members, if they see necessity to take more than 10 minutes, it's okay. So we will start with Dr. Kim. If you have questions for the candidate.
I do. Now, do you want me to just ask them or to type them into the chat box?
No, please ask them. The chat box for other attendees,
Okay.
Committee members. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Rodas, please be attentive and answer. I will mute myself.
Okay. It was really well done. So I learned a lot. My first question is, what do you plan on doing with all of this information that you've gathered?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hanan, and thank you, Dr. Kim. That's actually a great question. So, as I've mentioned earlier, I work at an agricultural firm. I'm an analyst, so we do the analytics part of the things, the projects that are implemented there. So, I'm actually wanting to use this research paper as a reference for our analysis, for our future analysis.
Okay. If you had the opportunity to present your information directly to the participants, would you take that opportunity?
You mean right now, or?
And yeah,
Yes.
this is a lot of great information. If I were a business owner producing honey, perhaps this could be the catalyst to help me make change. So, how would you do that? Could you do that?
Of course, of course. So yes, of course, I would definitely do that. So one thing that I've forgot to mention is my family runs a business where we sell honey. So I was actually very curious about this topic because we sell honey both locally and internationally. But when we sell it internationally, we don't do it the formal way, where there's no platform for us to export properly. So I was very curious as to why and how we can do that. So it's definitely, I can even start with my family members to teach about this research.
Let's go back to your literature review for just a minute. Tell me, was it difficult to find information that was current and related to the topic?
So I think it was okay. I mean, I cannot say it was very simple, but the thing is, I was very close to. So I had this project that was currently running, which was focused on animal genetics. So we were doing that in that area. So I knew some experts around the bee animal commodity. So I was able to contact those for primary information, for primary data. So that part was a little bit simpler for me because I was already in the sector, in the agricultural sector, and I've known some experts. And as to the secondary data, well, some of the data were challenging because, not all data is reliable. But the published ones and the ones that are credible, like the FAO-stat data, the trade map data, those were very beneficial. Yes.
Okay. Doing a mixed method research makes it sometimes harder. Why did you choose to do mixed method, quantitative and qualitative?
Okay, so usually, as I've mentioned earlier, even the qualitative ones, I had to change them into quantitative or measurable ones because, well, it's kind of creates more dependability and more accurate data when it's related with numbers. So only qualitative data, I believe only qualitative data would undermine the credibility of my thesis. So I used both methodologies, both methods, both qualitative and quantitative.
If there was something that you would change about the way you did the research, what would it be?
That's a very interesting question. I mean, I don't think there's anything that comes
Okay.
to mind.
Okay.
Yes, because we took our batch. We took 2 semesters to really do our research. So I took my time doing it, and I was actually interested in the topic. So I don't think there's anything I can change. Maybe if something comes up, then yeah, I will let you know. I will definitely.
Yeah. It's important to be interested in the research. Otherwise, oh, it just feels like it lasts forever.
I know.
Is there anything you would like to tell us that you didn't get to share in your presentation?
Mm, maybe some areas that are not covered. So we have a very diverse bee colony in Ethiopia. So maybe in that area, that could be utilized, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe that is not mentioned. But this part, I've come to know about it in my project, in the animal genetics project.
Okay. All right. Thank you for allowing me to ask questions and for giving me the chance to get to know you.
It was a
Well
pleasure. Thank you
done.
very much. Thank
Well
you very much.
done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kim. Please, Dr. Margot, if you have questions for the candidates.
Hello, thank you for giving me a chance to speak. First of all, may I congratulate you on getting to this point in your hard work. We all know how much effort and time it takes, and I hope you are taking pride in what you have created. Your study is organized, meticulous, informative, and well written, if I may say so. And
Thank you very much.
I learned so much too about both Ethiopia and honey and the business. One question I had as I read your discussion of your method, you discuss in a very detailed and effective way the questionnaires you created. I'm interested in how you selected your participants. For example, did you put out a call for participation? Did you know people based on your family's business? How did you reach out to these people?
So I think I have mentioned it a bit a minute ago. So my work is related with agriculture. So
Right.
Yeah, in that area, I've come to work in an animal genetics project. So in that animal genetics project, we had 5 commodities, which included bee as one commodity or animal type. So in that area, we were assessing different organizations, public ones mainly. So I've come to meet with different scholars in that sector, in honey production, bee multiplication. So experts that had more than 16 years of experience. So that connection helped me a lot in getting it's one of the sayings, your connections, what do you say, the ones you know are your connections. So if I know one person, then he knows a lot of person, he knows a lot of people. So that's how I've come to collect the questionnaires and experts opinions, if that answers your question.
And did you find the people you worked with willing to work with you and generous with their time and effort, or did you find it difficult to involve these people?
Actually, they were very cooperative and very open as to giving any information they have, because my background is I work at a governmental office. So any information whatsoever they give me, I cannot use it into bad things. And I've mentioned that I'm working on a research paper, and they were very cooperative. One thing though was I cannot do my questionnaire via online. I had to print them because not everyone is familiar with digital tools.
Well, that certainly can be a challenge. But you were able to have face-to-face meetings, and
Yes.
that can be just as helpful because you can also learn about the business more than you know by just seeing places and so on. Do you intend to use those connections you've made to work with these other people to achieve the priorities you've set out, to achieve your recommendations? For example, now you have this, and I think it's fascinating information about different ways of looking at this value chain and improving it. Do you intend to use that information to work through your government job to do these improvements? I would call it activism, but I don't think that's exactly what I mean. Let's just say improvement.
So currently, I don't directly make any decisions, but we make recommendations. So we base our recommendations on primary and secondary data at my job as well. So I intend to use this document as secondary data source, definitely, because I have put a lot of effort, and I am confident that it will be of help. But it also depends on the active projects that there are. But as you've mentioned, maybe this didn't come to mind earlier, but now that you've mentioned, maybe I will try to contact some private exporters and work through and other stakeholders work through these problems to solve and give them some insights.
That sounds like an interesting way to go about it. Have you got connections in other countries as well? You gave a lot of interesting information about honey production and export in, for example, China, the US, and so on. Do you have connections with people in those countries so as to look at honey's image, if you will, Ethiopian honey's image overseas, and how to improve that?
Well, I don't have major connections, but since my family exports some honey in small amounts, not larger quantities, but like 10 kilograms, or starting from half kilograms into up to 10 kilograms. So we sell those to direct cafeterias or restaurants. So they sell them in traditional packaging. So these are the only connections I know. And
but go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
No, continue.
It sounds as though you have enough knowledge so that you could perhaps make a recommendation or perhaps integrate that into further work that you do. And that's exciting because it is a global market, really. You mention in your paper, for example, that, excuse me, you mentioned in your paper that the industry depends a lot on local consumption, but the costs can be prohibitive. And therefore, there is the export market that has to be considered as well. And plans to look at that and plans to leverage that, I think, are important for the honey production market. I have one more little area of questions and a comment that I'd like to add. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you on looking at the web of factors that influence this. And I say web because, as you know, factors impact other factors. And so there are not isolated factors that impact only of themselves. What factors did you not see as being particularly important? In other words, what did you decide you needed to eliminate?
Actually, nothing comes to mind right now because I've thoroughly considered most of the factors, I believe. And I've tried to cover, well, of course, some factors were deprioritized because, because of the literature review, as I've mentioned. Some were mentioned below 2 times or once in some literature reviews, and I had to deprioritize those. But other than that, I don't think there are factors that I did not consider.
I'm glad to
I
hear
believe,
that.
I believe, but I'm open for.
No, I guess what I meant. I guess what I meant is, were there any factors that you considered, but said, you know, this doesn't have the impact I thought it might? That sort of thing.
Maybe there was one factor. So if I've understood your question, so there was one factor that's extension service. I've included it as a training program, but training and extension are a bit different.
That's true. That's true. That's really interesting. I want you to know that I am impressed with the way you considered not just one aspect of the value chain, but all of them. And your methodology shows that mixture of factors played a very important role in your results. What is your next research plan? Where are you going next with this study?
Can you please repeat the question?
Certainly. Now that you have these informative results, what's the next research step you will take? In other words, will you do another study on one particular factor, or will you perhaps move on to another part of the value chain, something like that?
I haven't really thought about this, but now that you've mentioned it, maybe going deeper into certain criteria or factors would make more impact, I believe, instead of going or moving into another area or subject.
That is fascinating. Thank you. I wish you well as you do that. You've got a strong base here for any research you want to do in the business. I would also like to thank you and the committee for having me here today and letting me ask you some questions and get to know you just a little bit. I appreciate your time, and let me yield the floor.
Thank you very much.
So much. Thank you so much, Dr. Margot. And if you can see that I'm trying to use first names with all due respect, because I feel that it makes the ice melt, because in the virtual world we have layers of distance and some challenges. Thank you so much for your inputs. I believe Rodas took so many mental notes for now, and will consider this for her future research. Now I would like to give the stage to Dr. Mercy, and after Dr. Mercy, please, Dr. Shaikar Hana, if you don't mind, you can also ask the candidate the questions directly after Dr. Mercy.
Sure, Professor.
Thank you. Dr. Mercy?
Well, first
the
of all,
stage is yours.
yes, thank you. So first, I would like to say congratulations to Rodas. I think that you have really done research on this. And I like the fact that you have personal, I want to say, awareness of the field, because you are in the agricultural sector and you do manufacture some honey. And I also want to tell you that I think this was a very appropriate topic for your research. And for me, having a background where I also represent some of the UN SDGs in Africa through an organization, and chair as an executive board member in another organization that deals with the literary world, scholars and literature, and involves the African environment. So it was also something that I really wanted to hear what your points were and how you felt this would help to resolve the problem that you identified within Ethiopia. And having said that, as also someone that writes, because I'm also a published author, I didn't say these things. I looked at the flow, okay, of your presentation to understand the organizational aspect of it, because that's, also important to me, because you're using a mixed methodology here. Okay, you're both qualitative and quantitative. If it is not well organized, it can get confusing, and it can be difficult to interpret what exactly your summary would be, and even what the problem actually is that you're trying to solve here. So I would like to say that you identify the problem very effectively. I think you stayed on point. I think the impact of these factors on the honey export in Ethiopia remained the primary focus, even as you went through how you arrived at your recommendations. And now I noticed that you also, at the beginning of your presentation and your paper, identify what the gaps were. So then you're saying, this is what the purpose of my paper is. These are the problems that it can solve. And I like the fact that you have some goals for that also in the practical world. I did have a few questions for you. When you mentioned some of the gaps and you said, there's gaps in the research, current research, noting the interrelationships of different factors, prioritization of them in a hierarchical way. And also you noted Addis Ababa as, a location that I don't know if you're saying that there hasn't been enough research on how this is happening in Addis Ababa, how the export of honey is, being handled in Addis Ababa. And I would like to know if your reason for focusing on Addis Ababa is that it has more connection to international trade, being the capital of Ethiopia. Is there more production of honey there? Because I would think it's probably more in the rural areas. Can you clarify that?
Okay, so definitely. One reason that you've mentioned, yes, there are not enough research papers or research done on honey exports in Addis Ababa city. Most of them are done regionally or in regional cities or regional parts of Ethiopia. And the other factor you mentioned, yes, there are not a lot of producers, but there are producers definitely on the outskirts of Addis Ababa. So yes, as you've mentioned, we can say that Addis Ababa is the only hub for export, as it's center for all the regional cities and regional areas of the country. So yeah. If I answered your question.
Okay, thank you for that. I'd like to ask you a few questions on your recommendations. Okay. In the value chain optimization, under that, you mentioned to promote honey consumption within Ethiopia and educate consumers on the health benefits of local honey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why is that? Because I'm thinking, of course, your paper is based on improving the declining situation of honey export in Ethiopia. So when you promote honey consumption within Ethiopia, that's not exactly export. That's more of internal consumption, right? Local consumption. So is there a connection between the export of honey from Ethiopia and promoting honey consumption locally within Ethiopia and educating consumers within Ethiopia on the health benefits of local honey? What do you see as that connection?
Okay, so the factors that affect honey export are different factors, as mentioned on the research paper. So one area was too much middleman being involved. Another was adulteration. And this is because it was not the what do you call, the market linkage is not done properly, and the producers or any stakeholders involved do not know the benefits of honey. So let's say specifically for adulteration, they mix different types of ripen bananas, different corn starch flours, different raw materials to honey, and that makes it very not healthy, even for the consumers at the country level. So if we raise that awareness and create that awareness amongst the local consumers, then the standards of honey will rise, and thus quality will increase. And so as I mentioned, because they're interrelated, then the export standard as well will increase. Adulteration also affects the external market, and so it will affect it indirectly.
Rodas, I like your answer, and it tells me that you know what you're talking about and you've done your research, because the interrelationship between all these factors is clearly mentioned in your response. And also the fact that you connect that with the adulteration aspect of it because of the things that are being mixed in and so forth. So your point, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that once the local consumers are more educated on the health benefits of honey and they can appreciate that, it will affect the reduction of all those things that are done to adulterate the honey and reduce the quality of it, which then affects the export and affects the quality of the exports. And it kind of has all this interconnectedness across all those factors. So this is something that I really like, because I do believe when it comes to business and sales and economics and all of this, that this is all about. When you believe in your product, then you can really put effort and energy into selling it successfully and exporting it successfully. So that makes sense. Now, my next question is this. When you talk about the critical factors addressing under that category, you talk about recommend investing in modern processing facilities, enhancing processing efficiency and product quality and all of that. Is this feasible financially? What are the challenges and limitations you identify in achieving this?
It's a great question. So one area was finance, as you've mentioned. So access to credits is an issue. Because this is also some interrelated. So in Ethiopia, usually middlemen are preferred instead of other formal ways of selling stuff. So the farmers sell their produce to middlemen for cheaper price, very cheap price, and the middleman can give money directly, so that the farmer can use the instant income or instant hard currency, so that they can use it into their day-to-day lives or use it into the production. But here, if there are no if there are cooperatives, for example, that buy the produce and then sell it, but then they don't have immediate cash to give it to farmers. So access to credit is an issue here, if you can see it. And so farmers prefer middlemen, in which this causes adulteration and causes a lot of issues. But coming to the area that you've asked, access to credit is an issue, of course, but I think in achieving the high quality processing machines and refinery technology, but then if there's motivation and some work done on creating that interest and creating that good points on across the value chain, then maybe NGOs and other stakeholders might actually be interested in investing in this area. So I think this can be fixed by these certain stakeholders across the value chain, if I have answered your question.
Wonderful. And I do like the fact that you mentioned the different stakeholders who can come in a little bit to sponsor, because that is one area that I've been wondering about. I don't know how the government factors into all of this, if there is, some financial capacity there. And I wanted to ask the next question, which kind of rolls off of this one, is that the illegal trading control, which you mentioned as well. Do you think that in implementing this aspect, the availability of funding would also be, important, because, who is going to implement this as far as the illegal trading control? Would it require having more labor, on board? And if you're going to do that, then wouldn't that also involve the necessity of additional funding? What do you think?
I think the best way to approach this is to, so I don't know if you know, farmers, when they grow, they form groups and make cooperatives. And cooperatives form larger groups and become unions. So for their benefit, farmers will, as long as the government has an initiative to group them and create that market linkage into the international market, international world trade, then they are willing to merge and work together. So, and this can be controlled. So what they do is the cooperatives, when they form unions, then the unions represent out of the farmers leaders, and the leaders can manage the produce they have, the input they use, and so on. So I think, of course, it's going to need some funding, but not a regular funding, as long as the cooperatives and the farmers are formed into groups.
Well, Rodas, thank you very much for that response. And I think that you have demonstrated how you've really thought through all of this, and in implementing your research. I like the fact that you have both the questionnaires, and the face-to-face interviewing as well. And then also you've identified the different aspects of how this research could be useful in a practical sense within Ethiopia, and all of the different variables of implementation as far as the financial aspect, which really is important in all of this, because without that, it is difficult to move forward. And so you've described that up to the grassroots level. And that is all I have for you as far as questions. And again, congratulations for this good research.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mercy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mercy. I really enjoyed all the questions that came from our committee members. And I believe Rodas also enjoyed it. I heard her saying, oh, that's a good question. And then, oh, yeah, that's a good question. Thank you so much. Now I will open the stage to Dr. I know that I'm butchering your name. I'm so sorry, Dr. Shaker Hannah. She has some questions here. If you would like to say it directly to the candidate, otherwise I can read it out loud. So what you prefer?
I will ask, Doctor.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. First of all, I would like to congratulate Roda's beautiful presentation, and I will also like to congratulate Hanan Awad for the dissertation. So the candidate is going to award a degree. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
my
very much.
question is, did you design the questionnaire?
Yes. So if you can, if you had access to the research paper that was sent out, it was attached on the appendices. Yes. So it's a pairwise comparison. So you just identify the factors and put them side by side so that experts can rate and answer.
And who are the respondents? I would like to know. Farmers, middle corporates, or higher corporation?
So there were producers, exporters, and maybe for a detailed number, I can. Okay, so for the first respondents, there were exporters, producers, experts, and government officials. A total of 70 questionnaires were distributed, and from that, 60 were successfully responded back. 5 were incomplete responses, 2 were incorrect responses, and 1 was not responded at all. And for the second stage, which was the ISM, also here the same respondents, but the ones that responded correctly were considered. So 60 out of 60, 50 were successfully responded. So 2 were incomplete, 1 was incorrect, and 7 were not responded.
Okay, then these are the respondents for pilot study or for final study for your dissertation?
For the questionnaires. This is for the questionnaire. But for the pilot study, I mentioned in the presentation 3 experts that had beyond 16 years of experience in the industry were selected.
No, I am asking about if you have designed questionnaire, did you conduct a test to validate the questionnaire?
Yes.
Can you tell me the test which you have
The what?
conducted? Test to validate the questionnaire. What
Yes.
are the tests you have conducted?
Did not quite hear. I think I'm having connection problems. Can you please repeat the question? Hello?
First of all, I would like to tell that to validate the questionnaire, first we need to conduct a pilot study.
Yes.
Once you have designed the questionnaire, you need to validate. To validate the questionnaire, what test you have conducted, that I would like to ask you.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, what kind of method did I use to validate the questionnaire? Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, it was a pilot study. And so once I have identified the factors, I had identified 31 factors, and then I had a pilot study with 3 experts after I prepared the questionnaire, because the questionnaire is very simple. Once I have the criteria, it's just a matter of putting them or organizing them in a pairwise.
I think you're confused because what you're telling is these are the panel members to design the questionnaire. I am asking about the respondents after collecting the data.
Oh, okay. I think I understand what you're saying. So yes, so after the AHP analysis or the analytical hierarchy process, some questions were not, so for the consistency ratio was conducted, or as I've mentioned on my presentation, those that were above 0.1 consistency ratio, I had to have a phone call with each respondent that was not consistent and had made modifications, if I have answered correctly.
Okay. Then I would like to know from which areas are your respondents and how did you calculated the sample size? Because you are representing a whole Ethiopia.
Yes, actually, the research is for Addis Ababa only. So the respondents are in Addis Ababa. So exporters, as I've mentioned on my presentation, there were 70 exporters, but for meeting appropriateness of, for starters, I've used the purposive sampling method. So for that, based on different research papers, I've come to know that 30% out of the total population is enough to do or for a reliable research. So out of those 70 exporters, the appropriateness criteria was given, which means a predefined criteria. And for that, those that are active ones should be considered. And out of those 70, 10 were active, and those, all of them were considered. And for the rest, all experts were considered. Government officials, producers were considered.
Okay. Rodas, actually the process is first you need to know total population to calculate the what is your sample size. First you need to know total number of farmers and who are the officials and who are the respondents of your study. First you need to know the list. What is the total sample? Then you need to calculate from the sample size. Then you can decide some sample calculator to decide a sample size. Not like you just what you said, 30% is enough. It is not the correct process. Actually, first of all, you need to know the total number of employees and the organization and the exporters, whoever you are taking respondents of your study. First, first you must know the list of the numbers and the total number of the employees. For example, farmers of 500 and in you, I don't know, in Ethiopia maybe 100. And you told officials maybe 50 or some other, etc., etc. So from this total of number of employees, then you can use sample size calculator, and then you can decide a sample size. We cannot say that percent is enough.
So the issue is, I know what you're explaining. I think what you're telling me, if I've captured it correctly, is to consider a margin of error, to consider level of confidence, the calculation that you're talking about, right? Correct? And to consider the total population. But this one was a purposive sampling method where a predefined criteria was used to identify those that are active participants of this sector. If I have answered it correctly. For total sample, yes, the total population is considered and some certain level of confidence. So I think above 95 is okay. And for margin of error, I think below 0.5 is okay. After considering this, I think you come up to the total number of sample participants or yes, participants that you need for the paper, if I have captured your suggestion, Doctor.
Actually, you're talking about distribution. I am asking about distribution and the total number of employees. You are talking about how many employees you have taken. I am talking about sample size distribution. How did you distribute it? I'm talking about sample size calculator. Did you came to know exact number of
Yes,
organizations are available?
yes. So 70 exporters were identified, but out of
Okay.
those 70, out of those 70, considered as to the recentness of the information they have and the impact they have towards the any opinion that they give or the judgment they give.
Okay,
Mhm.
the size is 70. Then you need to find the total number of employees working in these 70 exporters. Did you came to know how many employees are working in those companies?
Dr. Shaker Hana, if I
Okay.
can add here, as Rodas said, she identified the stakeholders in the value chain. She did not include employees as you would like, or including in your question, as one of the main stakeholders. The people are not employees, mostly they are workers. And she focused on the producers, and most of the time the producer is represented by one person, and she said she had a record of 70 producers. Certain number of these producers were active in import and export, and she used a purposive selection method. So she set the criteria, and the criteria matched the producers, not the employees. And if you will include the employees, you have seasonal workers, you have hourly workers, or something like this. And she did not include them when she identified the stakeholders.
Okay, doctor, fine.
Yes, thank you so much. I checked the chat. I don't think that we have other questions. Thank you so much for your panel. Now, this is the fun part. I will create a breakout room for the committee members, the review committee members, to have their discussion. The timer will be 20 minutes. So is it enough 20 minutes, or we need to go more than 20 minutes? For the deliberation by the committee members?
I think 20 minutes is good.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, so 20 minutes, and for the rest of the attendees, please bear with us 20 minutes until we come with the final decision. So I will open the room, and please, for the panel, for the committee members, please join breakout room number 1. Okay, sorry for that. I was eager to speak. I didn't notice that I'm on mute. So after the deliberation, the committee is ready to announce the results. So I will leave the stage to Dr. Margot, Dr. Kim, Dr. Mercy to announce the results.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to be on this committee. Rodas, we all would like to congratulate you that we have approved your dissertation findings. It is dissertation worthy. We are all impressed with your work. We are all so excited for you. And I want you to take a moment and really take pride in yourself. We congratulate you on your success. We have a few minor things that we will mention to you. Nothing that will take you longer than a short amount of time here and there before we can finally sign off. I'll let my colleagues detail that and let them take the stage. But I am so proud and so honored to congratulate you that we approve your work.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Margot. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything.
Congratulations. Well done. We were so impressed with the paper. One of the things that we need from you is to work with like an online system such as Grammarly or perhaps a research assistant. There's just some minor tweaking, commas that are not there, some sentences that just get a little bit too big. And so once you've worked with Grammarly and the research assistant to get it publication ready, because it is absolutely a wonderful dissertation. I come from an education background, and so I learned so much about the supply chain and other things that I knew nothing about. So I am so very proud of you. Just amazed at how well you did. Congratulations. And in a couple of weeks, people are going to be calling you doctor. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kim. And yes, well noted. I will check and use Grammarly. Yes.
It'll only take you about an hour. Honestly, because it'll highlight everything and even give you sentence construction recommendations. It may be 2 hours because it's, but it won't take long. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Well, congratulations, Rodas. And again, in a few weeks, you will be titled doctor. And I think you've done well. I think this is a great contribution to the international body of, scholars and to research. And again, your dissertation is approved. However, just those few things that my colleagues have mentioned. And definitely here in the United States, even, I think and not just in Ethiopia or in any particular continent, this is quite interesting and relevant research that I'm sure once it's published in the academic journals, people will be interested to read and maybe use that as a basis for additional research. And I would say congratulations on this contribution.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Mercy. It was actually good to know you because you have experience in Ethiopia as well. So I was looking forward to. You also worked at consulting, which was quite interesting. Thank you very much, Dr. Mercy.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for our panel. your inputs are really, really greatly appreciated. I benefited from it, from these comments, and I'm sure that Rodas also will benefit from these comments. Thank you so much, Rodas. Congratulations! You successfully defended your MBA thesis. The next step is to do the final polishing of your thesis as recommended by the committee. And after that, the committee will sign off your thesis. Thank you so much. I would like to thank all the attendees who attended our session today, and your patience when the committee was discussing the final decision. You can contact us. I left some contact details, and of course, if you have any questions, you can direct these questions to the university administration under contact on our website. I'm so proud to be part of Windsor University USA. It's a great platform, and I cannot be happier with my mentee that I worked with for quite some time now. Thank you so much. It was really pleasure working with you, and I'm so happy that your hard work paid dividends. And thank you so much for everyone. We were on time, and the discussion was smooth. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to have our committee members on other committees in the future. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Hanan.
Thank you.
It was really a great time working with you, because you were my first instructor when I joined the university. And until now, I was really happy that you were my advisor, and I really learned a lot from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Awad, can I just give a quick tips on Rodas? Just to,
Yes, please do.
a very quick one.
Dr. Ernesto, yes,
Rodas,
please.
probably what you can do is to insert a scope and limitations of the study, for you to really package it on how you would like your study to be limited, and the total scope only. So we will not be exploring more on outside of your expertise. That's the only thing I think is should be articulated in this study. And congratulations, and probably your presentation is even more than for doctoral or DBA, but this early I'm welcoming you to take the challenge of DBA. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
I second this recommendation. I think that your next step is to get a PhD or DBA, hopefully with Windsor too.
Hopefully.
With you, supervisor too.
Yes, I would definitely love that.
Yes, thank you so
Yes,
much.
and I actually want to use this platform to. I actually got a scholarship from Windsor for my master's, so I really want to thank the university as well.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes, you deserve it. You deserve it.
Yes,
Thank
and
you.
exactly. You heard what I said. You're going to be called doctor, so go for it. I totally second that, and I think it's been a good journey for you so far. So continue.
Thank you, Dr. Mercy.
Well, thank you, everyone. I will end the session now. I think we are all thrilled, and we are all happy, and we all enjoyed a well-written and well-executed research. I'm so happy that myself and the university we were able to support the researcher, and the candidate actually is no longer candidate after the approval, but she will work with all your recommendations, and she will polish the final draft, and of course, I will receive your inputs. I will receive your feedback. So I believe in the coming 1 week or 10 days, we can finalize this chapter in Rodas' life. And I would like to share something, if she allows me. Soon she will be a new bride.
Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations. That is
Thank you.
wonderful. When is your wedding?
Thank you. I'm planning to have it on December, but there's a lot of work to do until then.
Yes.
Oh, that's
So
wonderful.
now you can focus on that important.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much. And soon the video, because this is a recorded session, will be posted on the university official channel on YouTube for everyone to benefit from the amazing, wonderful, deep discussions that we had in this session. Thank you so much for everyone, and I will see you soon in other discussions and sessions. Thank you. Goodbye. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.